at some point he should have asked, how are we getting such highly detailed information on the other teams?
Was it really that highly detailed? First up, we've got Penn State, Illinois. We're going to go through each of the games. Well, we got 3 games. First up, Penn State, Illinois. We got 5 minutes for each game.
Looking for some bigger prey. They're hungry for that bigger win, and this could be it. If they can take down Penn State. I said, nevertheless. Why did I say I said?
The former 3rd string, now 2nd string quarterback. And people on Twitter are talking. Should he be the starter now?
Welcome to Michigan Chatter. This is a new idea we have here on Big Ten Team Rivalry, switching things up a little bit just to make things interesting. I am your host, Clifford the Dog Richardson. That's a data analyst with grit for the uninitiated. With me, as always, thank you very much. With me, as always, is the commentator extraordinaire, the angry pigskin, the people's prognosticator, my firstborn son, Mackenzie. Mac, how's it going over there?
Yeah, well, ESPN, it's fake news.
Let's hope nobody realizes that we're wearing the same clothes and it's the same day as the last video. Anyway, we are a father and son team trying to have fun with football. We are trying to make football fun again with an enthusiasm for personal bias in our review, our picks, and our takes on all of this, with our own friendly rivalry on the side, but that's another video. Right now, we're talking about Michigan. And Michigan, as you know, has been going through some hard times lately with this scandal that's been plaguing them and now is plaguing the Big Ten. So the latest news, the last thing I heard was that not only that the NCAA said that they can't connect Harbaugh to the sign-stealing database that was allegedly developed by Connor Stallions. They also cannot link Ryan Day and Ohio State to the PI investigative firm. But according to Isaiah Hole, that doesn't necessarily mean what it sounds like it means. And then the other thing I heard was that Michigan has information that OSU and Rutgers colluded to deliver Michigan's sign database to Purdue before the Big Ten championship game last year, which obviously helped Purdue tremendously to lose. So ultimately, what this comes down to is everybody has been stealing signs. It's just some people do it differently than other people, and Michigan is still winning. Mac, what I don't know. What's your side of it? What do you got over there?
Well, I want to know real quick, like you said that Isaiah Hole said that the NCAA can't link Ryan Day to anything, but that doesn't mean what it sounds like it means.
Well, yeah, okay, so I'm wording it wrong. So the way they worded it was there is no evidence right now to link Ohio State to the PI firm. And I think what they were trying to do was to just sort of calm everybody down by saying, okay, we can't link Harbaugh and we can't link Ryan Day. So that was, I think, meant to calm everybody down so that they can get on with the investigation. What Isaiah Hole was saying, because apparently he said, I think what Isaiah Hole is getting at is that they do have information linking Ohio State to the PI firm. They just haven't confirmed it yet. So the same thing with the videos that were like coming in that were allegedly evidence pointing to Michigan stealing signs. They hadn't confirmed it yet. So they weren't saying that they were saying that it was evidence, but they weren't saying that it was confirmed evidence. So there's evidence linking Ohio State, but there's not confirmed evidence linking to Ohio State. At least that's what they're telling us. Isaiah Hole seems to think they can link it to Ohio State. But that's not been confirmed yet. And in the last video I saw from him, he said that wasn't confirmed as far as they weren't ready to release that statement.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So what we could end up seeing...
Interesting.
What we could end up seeing is basically a Mexican standoff here where everybody has been doing this. They tried to bring it out against Michigan, and now Michigan is saying, okay, but we've got all of this on you guys too. So now it's just a matter of, like Steve Dace likes to say, who's going to flinch first.
Mhm.
Michigan, through President Santaono, has already said that if the NCAA or the Big Ten tries to punish Michigan before the investigation is over, they're ready to fight back, and whether that means taking legal action or what, they are ready.
Well,
So
if the NCAA can't link Harbaugh to anything Connor Stallions did, Connor Stallions is already gone. I mean, what more can they do?
well, what you can still come down to is the whole idea of the sportsmanship ethics. So the
Okay.
as the head coach, he's supposed to be in charge of the program. He's supposed to know what's going on, when, where, and why. Now we can say that that's not possible, especially for a program the size of Michigan. Nevertheless, that doesn't absolve him. The head coach should know what's going on in his program. So the bylaws, I believe, do state that the head coach is still responsible. So whether he knew it or not, he's responsible. So what they could do
Yeah.
is say, okay, so you didn't use it, but you're responsible for it happening. The other coaches may have used it. So Jim Harbaugh can still be held accountable. It's just not as severe a punishment. So, like, if Jim Harbaugh was
Okay.
the head of this whole thing, and Jim Harbaugh said, "Connor, here's 15 grand. Go buy these tickets. Get your people out there. Here's some, high speed phone cameras, and get me with this what I need, and bring it back to me and report to me, and we're going to use this." If they could do that, well, then Harbaugh's finished.
Yeah.
He's linked to it. He's done. I mean, Michigan could fire him with cause, and he would not get his buyout or anything. But now, if it just
Mhm.
comes down to one staffer was doing it, the other coaches had no idea, Harbaugh had no idea, well, then it just comes down to, well, you didn't have control of your program, so don't do that anymore.
But okay, but like, how is how is Harbaugh supposed to know what he's doing on his own Venmo? You know, like, how
Well,
is he supposed to know? Like, the guy, so he's got his own, phone. Obviously, he's texting his friends, "Hey, if I gave you, $100, will you go to this game and take, pictures of their signs?" How is Harbaugh supposed to know that? Like, nothing happened in Schembechler Hall.
well, I think the pushback on that is that at some point he should have asked, how are we getting such highly detailed information on the other teams?
Was it really that highly detailed?
Well, I don't know. That's the pushback. That's what people were saying, that at some point you got to be
Yeah.
like, how are we getting all of this great information? Now, I do know that, and from what I've read, that there are people on staff at different universities who are so good at this. And I think it was what the coach at Georgia. There's the sign stealer at Georgia that they said was
Mhm.
so good that it bordered on precognition. So there
Hmm.
are guys who are trained in this, and then some people just have a natural knack for reading body language and that sort of thing. And so when you get into a football program that needs that kind of thing, well, then you can really shine. Um, what Connor Stallions may have done, though, is crossed a line by buying
Yeah.
tickets and getting people to take video. And I don't know if he's basically admitted to that, because he said in his statement that he feels that he pushed the line, I think.
I don't. Yeah, I guess all I remember from his statement was that he said that Harbaugh had absolutely no idea what he was doing.
Right, Harbaugh and the other
But
coaches.
yeah, but like, okay, so I'll maintain, like, what I've been saying throughout this whole thing is that, and I've heard other people say it. I think the MGO blog guys were saying it, although I apologize if they weren't, and I'm misremembering. I don't know, but people have been saying like this. I don't see how this actually provides that much of an advantage, like scouting your opponent in the future, unless of course they were videotaping practices, which is absolutely illegal, but that's not what's being alleged here. What's
Right.
being alleged are the actual games. There's a rumor that Michigan has evidence that Ohio State was filming their practices,
Mm-hmm.
but whatever, that's just a rumor, it's not substantiated yet. So I guess the tactical advantage that Michigan got from scouting opponents, what exactly was that? I don't think it was very much. Which, and other people have been saying that they don't see how that was much of a tactical advantage either. So then the question remains, why do it? And that's what nobody really understands, is why did Connor Stallions even do this? Like, what was the point? And so my thing is that I think that he did it alone, and obviously Harbaugh didn't know, which the NCAA, per Dan Wetzel from Yahoo Sports, has said that Harbaugh didn't know, or there's no evidence that Harbaugh knew. So that's from the NCAA. So there's that. So it kind of sounds like Connor Stallions just got this idea to impress the bosses and overstep some boundaries on accident. Hopefully on accident. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question, as far as, what did it benefit them? I know Mark Rogers was talking about, he's tired of hearing Michigan fans say, why would they do it? There's not much of advantage to it. But first of all, that's not a defense, because whether there's an advantage to it or not, it's to send somebody from Michigan staff to another team's game, to take video, to bring it back, to use that video information. That's against the rules. So if that's what happened, it's against the rules. That aside, there's really no way to tell what the actual advantage would be from somebody on the sidelines with an iPhone not ever getting a clear shot compared to, compared to watching, the television footage or everything else they have, whether it's from watching them from previous seasons or getting information. Now, actually, the other thing is getting information from other teams. It's been rumored for a while that teams share information pretty consistently. Now, I can see where, because Michigan has been destroying the Big Ten, that they're not sharing information with Michigan because they don't want to give Michigan any more advantage than what they already have. But the accumulated advantage of having somebody on the sideline, having somebody in the stands filming the sidelines, is not much different from 2 or 3 other teams collecting information that they have and sending it to another team that's playing Michigan.
Right.
So if this is all true, we are now down to everybody has done the same equivalent thing. So coming back to that, the sportsmanship ethic, which is what they might be punishing Jim Harbaugh for, is not having control of the team, and allowing these sign stealing to be used unethically. So you get that unethical sportsmanship violation. But now what Ohio State and Rutgers have done is really at the same level, because they have now, really what Ohio State and Rutgers did was scout Michigan for Purdue. They were at the game.
Yeah.
They were at the game.
Yeah, I hear
they
you.
watched Michigan. They recorded the signs just like everybody does. Every team records the signs of the other team while they're playing them. But now Ohio State and Rutgers basically scouted Michigan and sent that information to Purdue last year before they played the championship game.
Yeah.
So now we're at a point where they've all done the same thing. We can actually say that now. They've all done the same thing. So if they're going to punish Michigan, they have to punish Rutgers. They have to punish Ohio State. And if they find out that Purdue used any of that information, they have to punish Purdue.
And they're not going to do that.
I find it hard to believe that they're going to punish almost a quarter of the conference, because eventually, this is what I think is going to happen then. If they were to do that, they're going to come out and punish. So essentially, Michigan can say, okay, well, you punish Rutgers, Ohio State, and Purdue. All right. But now if Rutgers, Ohio State, and Purdue get punished, Ohio State's going to say, well, you know what? We also have information on Minnesota, Illinois, and Indiana. Rutgers is going to say, well, we also have information on, Northwestern and Iowa and Wisconsin. And then Purdue's going to say they have information. So now, at some point, really quickly, you're going to have the entire Big Ten involved.
So
and
it's
now
mutually
what do you do?
destruction.
Right.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
what Steve Dace has been talking about. It's the nuclear option. It's mutually assured destruction. Everybody loses. So at some point,
Mhm.
the Big Ten is going to say, all right, can we just
We need to
say,
stop.
okay, everybody, you got us. Y'all got us. Don't do it anymore. We're done. Of course, the NCAA is going to be like, well, we need something. So I don't know. Maybe the Big Ten throws them a couple of bucks. But
the
I don't know.
NCAA might just fine each school then, maybe, or they'll fine Michigan. But I don't know. I guess I also heard that when the NCAA goes after schools, if those schools fight back, then the NCAA more often than not just backs off. Because there's really no actual teeth to the NCAA.
Right.
They look all big and scary, but when push comes to shove, there's nothing really to them.
Right.
So maybe this ends with just everyone getting some fines or something like that, or a couple of game suspension or something like that. But really,
yeah,
we need to be done. We
Right.
just need to be done.
And like I said, I get it. You know, if the rule is there, dumb as it is, stupid as it is, if the rule is there, if you break it, you should be punished. But just like they were going to take the rule away, even though they didn't, I get it. But even though they were going to take it away, what we see now is so many teams are doing this. It's so commonplace. And if everybody is doing it, then it becomes part of the game. And it puts everybody in the same place. And now I know this is all rumor and speculation, and rumor, speculation, and hearsay even. But there's talk now that Ryan Day was actually paying players. It was so before NIL came into place, Ryan Day was paying players, and then I've been seeing that like fans of SEC teams or coaches from SEC teams are almost laughing at this situation because they've been doing this kind of stuff forever and worse.
Oh yeah.
Clemson I think Clemson is essentially famous in the SEC, or was famous in the SEC, for sending scouts to other teams.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, they've been doing that. But the SEC, I don't know. I want to say they get away with it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm really not in tune with everything that goes on in the SEC. But the level of what this is minuscule. And I agree with Mark Rogers. They do it for an advantage. And again, just because everybody does it is not a defense against breaking the rule. But at some point, you got to show some humility.
Yeah.
And say, no, our team is doing the exact same thing.
or at least something similar.
Right. And I think that's what gets frustrating about this. And thankfully, the fans can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it. It doesn't matter what we say. I know there's people in our comments saying we just need to, take accountability and own up to it. And we're like, accountability for what? We didn't do anything.
We didn't do anything. We're just talking about it, guys.
Speculating. But yeah, I mean, as a fan, at some point, you got to show some humility and understand that everybody is doing this. And I know that sounds juvenile and all that, but man, it's true. Everybody is doing this. So is it really that big a deal? I mean, it is, I guess you could say it's a big deal, but everybody's doing it. So should the punishment be severe, or should we just say it's over and move on and either get better at it or stop doing it?
Yeah.
And there was something else I was going to say there, but I forgot what it was.
Well, the other part of this is the media narrative too.
Yeah.
And the fact that like ESPN, especially Pete Thamel, Reese Davis,
Steve Smith over at ESPN.
Is
that his name? Steve. Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Feinbaum should all be ashamed of themselves.
They should be.
Reese Davis is coming out and saying that no one's out to get Jim Harbaugh. What?
Oh, okay.
This whole thing has been, I mean, seriously, like there's not a single tweet from a single ESPN account about the fact that Michigan sent information to the Big Ten implicating Rutgers, Ohio State, and Purdue. There hasn't been a single tweet about that as of this recording. There was a news story on ESPN that Michigan was going to inform the Big Ten that they had it or already sent it or something like that. But in terms of the personalities, none of the personalities have tweeted about it. So if you've been following ESPN, it's almost like Michigan did all these things wrong, but nothing else has happened. So you're only getting one side of the narrative here. Why?
Right.
I mean, why?
Yeah.
One reason is because the ESPN has absolutely nothing to do with Big Ten TV money. But in that case, why, if they had the opportunity to take down the whole conference, why didn't they do that? Why are they just going after Jim Harbaugh?
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes me kind of wonder if ESPN has something going on with the NCAA, because Jim Harbaugh has been very outspoken about wanting to take money away from the NCAA and give it to the players. He's been very open about that. So the NCAA has been wanting him out of the picture for quite some time because he's very influential. What is ESPN? How is ESPN potentially involved with that? The other thing was too, is that I was listening to, I think it was MGO Blog guys. I think it was. And one guy on there says he has a contact at one of the major, at I believe ESPN or something like that, and said that basically they're being told by management what to say. So the narrative is being set by the network and given to their personalities, which happens at every news organization now. Like every news organization at this point, they're not actual journalists.
Right.
And I really don't care who you're watching. They're all the same. CNN, Fox, ESPN, MSNBC, any of them, they're being told, the personalities are being told what to say, and they all spread it like the little minions that they are. That's just what the media is today. So they wanted Harbaugh out of the way. I don't really know why, unless they have something going on, some little side gig going on with the NCAA. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. But this media hit job, I mean, this one-sided narrative is not okay. This is a very bad thing that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was also, so this David Schuster, I don't exactly know where he comes from, but he is a reporter. Normally he does politics, I guess. But he was reporting that contacts of his have been telling him that this call that happened with all of the Big Ten coaches and athletic directors and all of them being unanimous and wanting punishment for Jim Harbaugh, that's not true. So his contact is saying that it wasn't unanimous. So I guess he tweeted that he's been told he's been told that at least a few coaches and athletic directors have been withholding judgment because they want more information, which is fairly objective. Mm-hmm. But that sources at a University of Michigan rival say, quote, it's accurate to report a majority of conference ADs and coaches want immediate action, but the source says that a few coaches and ADs who want more info are withholding judgment. So that means that it wasn't actually as unanimous as they were saying.
Right.
As it was reported. But obviously that was what was reported, and everybody, ESPN and Paul Feinbaum especially, ran with it because they're just talking heads.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think you hit the nail on the head there, that we just don't have news or journalism anymore. It's all about the clicks. It's all about the views. The people at Fox have a deal with the Big Ten. The people at ESPN have a deal with the SEC. So you're not going to get, or we're not getting, unbiased, just, football stories. Yeah. Now they all of a sudden they have to pick sides, and it's really frustrating. And yeah, we're going to get this. If things go down the worst possible way, you're going to get this nuclear option, and we're all going to lose. If we're not losing already, because so much money now is involved in college football that we can't just have the game anymore. and have fun and enjoy the rivalries and the pageantry and the tradition. Now we have to fight against people who just want to put stories out for clickbait, for coaches that want to bury the other coaches off the field rather than on the field. And it's just tiresome and frustrating. I did see now, so a couple of tweets that I appreciated. I think one was from Steve Dace, and it was, if you take a shot at the king, you better not miss, which I think is what Michigan is proving right now by pulling out all of the stops.
Yeah.
And there was another one. I forgot who posted it first, but since we found out that Rutgers and OSU were getting information to Purdue, they said, whenever I get involved in a pissing match, everybody gets wet.
Ew.
And that's the nuclear option, and that's what we're looking at. And I think I want to close this up. I want to wrap this up here because there's probably going to be more information coming out tomorrow, and we're going to get way ahead of ourselves. Not that we know anything, but I'd like to stay relevant, and we can always do another video on this. So let's wrap it up for tonight. That is the show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments, like, subscribe. We appreciate all that. We appreciate everybody who's done it already. Let us know in the comments what you think about this whole scandal, and how many teams you think are involved. Mac, take us out.
This is Big Ten. This is Team Rivalry Michigan chatter. It's not Big Ten. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give us a subscribe. It would mean a lot to us. Maybe even a like, possibly even a comment. Let us know your thoughts and all that. It would be really great to hear from you all. And have a great weekend watching football and enjoy watching football. Remember, #make football fun again. This is Big Ten Team Rivalry.